Hi everybody, it's Thomas here from Thomas Fitzgerald Photography, and in this video I want to give you a quick look at my new style pack for Capture One called TPan. So TPan is basically a set of black and white styles that I created after doing some scans on some film, and I've actually created this set for Lightroom as well, and that came first. And the idea was I'd been scanning a lot of film. I was using Ilford X Pro 2 and Fuji Neopan, and I kind of liked the looks I was getting when I was scanning it with my old Canon film scanner. And so that inspired me to create a set of presets called TPan, and I got a lot of requests to do a Capture One version, so that is what I have done. And they're available now on my digital download store. So what I wanted to do in this short video is just kind of give you a quick overview of what it's like to use them, and to do so I'm going to do it on an actual project, which is a street photography shoot that I did. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to Capture One, and when you install TPan you should see it in the Styles and Presets tool. So to get to that, if you're somewhere else in the interface, what you need to do is go to the Adjustments tab. So that's the one that looks like a little clipboard, and if you have lots of different styles already installed, you'll find it under the user style section, and you scroll down and you should see TPan. So basically with TPan there are 10 different looks, or virtual films so to speak, and with each one I've given you 3 variations. So there's TPan 1, just the normal version, then there's Plus, which is just a little bit brighter because sometimes the black and white effect can make your images a little darker. And then 400 is to give the effect of a higher speed film. It has a little bit more contrast and a little bit more grain. So each of those 3 variations are for all 10 of the virtual films, so to speak. And then it also comes with a set of tools called TPan tools. And for these you have grain off, so that will turn the grain off because each of the styles comes with grain. So then I have 5 variations of ISO 100 grain, and then 5 variations of ISO 400 grain, and then I have 2 variations of high speed grain, and then I have another effect called Soften, which basically creates kind of the soft glow effect that you get with film sometimes. So this will make a lot more sense once I actually show you what this does. So I'm going to start and go through this set of images and just process them like I would normally as if I was working on them for myself. So I'm going to go back up to the top here and just frame this so that I can see all of my TPan styles. And one of the advantages of Capture One is you can just kind of hover over your styles and then pick the one that you like the most and that most suits it. So let's see, I like the here with a bit of contrast. That is okay, I like that. So we'll go on to the next image, and then we'll just kind of hover over them and see which ones we like, play with different looks. So this is kind of nice, so I like that. And then if I want, I can change the grain by just selecting one from one of the tools. So say if I wanted more grain, I can just pick on this one. And if I zoom in here to 100%, I can see the grain properly. So the grain I've created with these, I've done it kind of to match actual film. And a lot of the times, I think a lot of people don't realize just how much grain is actually in film, especially if you haven't worked with it a lot, or if you have shot with film and you get it done in the lab and you get your scans done in the lab, they'll often do a denoise on it, so you won't actually see what the grain is actually like. But I've done my best to kind of roughly match what real grain would look like, so I can play with different grains here. One of the other things to note too is with Capture One, when you apply a style, if you have this little checkbox beside it, you can actually just click on it again to turn it back off. So there's the default grain for that. So if I wanted really high speed grain, I can use this 800 to 1600. So that gives me like a quite a noisy image, but it can be quite nice when printed as well. So, but I'll just go with the default for the moment. I'll just zoom back out. So again, next image, and then we can just pick different styles for these. So the styles vary from kind of a fairly straight up, more flat black and white image to kind of more high contrast ones, especially on the ISO 400 ones, or the 400. Okay, so again with this I'll go with this, and just to demonstrate what I was talking about, the softness, so I'm going to zoom in again, and so if I go down and use one of these soften tools, so you may not be able to see this on the video, but what it does is I use a negative clarity and a negative structure to create kind of a soften effect. So it simulates sometimes if the film isn't quite properly aligned when it's scanned, and or sometimes you get a blooming effect in old cameras if the film gate's not quite right. So that is the effect I'm trying to simulate here. And again, if you don't like it, you can just click on it again to turn it back off. Okay, so another image, and I'm just going to do kind of a time lapse on these rather than talk about it all the time. Okay, so again, this is actually ISO 3200, so you have to kind of be careful with the grain here as well. So I'm going to use a lower speed grain on this, because if we combine the two, we end up with too high a grain. No, that's actually not bad. We want to keep something a bit more contrasty here. That's quite nice. And again, because there's motion in this, what we want is maybe a bit higher grain. Because I find that if you have a lot of motion in your image and it's quite blurry, a nice bit of grain can actually help. So as you can see, using styles like this, you can actually get some really nice results pretty quickly. You don't actually have to do a lot of tweaking. So I have put a good bit of variation into TPan, and it should work for a lot of different types of images in a lot of different situations. They should always be seen as kind of a starting point, and you can go ahead and tweak them afterwards. But in many cases, you should be able to just get something right in just one click. So one of the things I've tried to do with this as well is create a kind of a nice rich tonality with these. My other black and white style pack, which is Silverlux, is more of a high contrast and more of a stylized kind of look, whereas these I've tried to create them more kind of organic and natural looking. Okay, so and again for this one then I'm just going to bring up the shadows a bit more. Okay, so that's pretty much it. That's my images all treated now with TPan for Capture One. So if you want to check this out, you can find details on my store, and link will be in the description below. They normally retail for €15, but because I'm having a special discount for the launch, they're reduced to $12.50, and the price will vary depending on your local VAT rate. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you want, please head over to my store and check them out. As I said, the link will be in the description below, and I hope you found them useful if you decide to give them a try. And thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.